Have you ever felt smart enough to succeed, yet somehow you're still stuck in the same place? Maybe you have tons of great ideas, but you never manage to put them into action. Or maybe you watch other people, who don't seem as talented as you, achieve success and make progress while you stay exactly where you are. If this sounds familiar, know that the problem isn't a lack of ability, it's how your brain is wired. In this world, there are two types of people. Thinkers, always imagining, coming up with brilliant ideas, planning the future, but rarely turning those ideas into reality. Doers, the ones who take an idea and act on it immediately without over-analyzing. But they often get stuck in routines, struggling to grow or innovate. Now stop for a moment and ask yourself, which one are you? And what if I told you that being stuck in just one of these modes could be sabotaging your success without you even realizing it? Because the truth is, success doesn't belong only to the dreamers or only to the action takers. It belongs to those who can balance both forces. In this video, you'll learn how to master the balance between focus and creativity, and how that shift can change the way you operate in the world. Have you ever met someone who is full of amazing ideas but never follows through? Or on the other hand, someone who keeps taking action, but always within the same comfort zone? They may achieve some things, but they never truly level up. But why does this happen? What separates those who only think from those who actually make things happen? The answer lies in how the brain operates. Before we break it down, let's talk about networks. And no, I'm not talking about the internet or social media. I'm talking about your neural network, the system that controls how you think, act, and make decisions. And here's the thing. Most people don't use their neural network strategically. They live on autopilot, jumping from thought to thought without ever directing their energy toward a specific goal. But those who achieve great things, whether it's building a business, mastering a new skill, or completing a major project, have something in common: a focused network. If you look up success stories online, you'll find countless examples of people who reach their goals, and there's always a pattern. They learned how to focus. Now you might be thinking, so all I need to do is focus more? Well, it's not that simple. What does it really mean to focus? Focus isn't just about paying attention to something. Focus is about building a mental structure, stepping into it with full commitment, and not leaving until you reach your goal. It's like a train on a track. Once you set your path, you keep moving forward, avoiding distractions along the way. This skill brings clarity, discipline, and results. If you want to learn something new, change your life, or bring a project to completion, this is the most powerful tool you have. And isn't that what everyone wants? But there's a problem. What happens when you're too focused? If you build a focused network and never step out of it, you'll be missing something essential: creativity. Because creativity doesn't thrive under intense focus. It happens when the brain operates in a diffuse, free-flowing state, exploring different connections and possibilities. Think of an artist trying to create something groundbreaking while following a rigid rulebook, or a writer attempting to craft a brilliant story but forcing themselves to follow a strict, repetitive formula. Creativity needs space to flow, and this leads to the big question: how do you balance focus and creativity to get the best of both worlds? If you've been training your mind to stay focused, believing that alone will guarantee success, you need to hear this. It might work, but only up to a point. It's incredibly common for people to have brilliant ideas, but never turn them into reality. And then someone else comes along, takes that same idea, and actually makes it happen. What happens next? The original thinker gets left behind, while the person who took action moves forward and thrives. It might feel unfair, but the truth is, the world doesn't reward those who only think. It rewards those who think and do. And this is where so many people get stuck. The dilemma of the dreamer who never acts. How many people spend their entire lives coming up with ideas, creating concepts and planning projects, but never taking the first real step? Society often sees these people as daydreamers with no direction, full of intellectual potential, but with no real results to show for it. Why? Because creativity is one way of using the brain, but turning an idea into reality is a completely different process. That's the key. Being creative doesn't mean being a doer. If you want to build something of value, you need to understand that there are unglamorous parts of the process. The reality of success. Not everything is fun and exciting. Making money, building a career, or mastering a skill requires discipline, patience, and consistency. And that means not everything will be fun all the time. If you want to learn an instrument, you'll have to repeat the same practice drills over and over again. If you want to start a business, you'll have to deal with paperwork, finances, and unexpected problems. If you want to grow professionally, you'll need to hit targets, meet deadlines, and tackle daily challenges. Now think about someone who wants to go to college to secure a better future. If that person can't push through the difficult coursework, they simply won't graduate. And without that effort, their career options become severely limited. So instead of asking, why does that person make more money than me? Why are they successful and I'm not? The real question should be, am I willing to go through the difficult parts of the journey to reach my goal? Because success isn't just about the exciting parts of the process. It's about your ability to push through what's hard and necessary. And that brings us to a critical realization. If you rely too much on focus and forget about creativity, you're sabotaging yourself in a different way. This is the hidden danger of a rigid mindset. When we talk about learning and growing, we're not just talking about college. Higher education can be an option, but the real key is learning what actually makes you evolve. And to do that, you need to build a focused network in your brain. But here's the problem. When you spend too much time locked into a single way of thinking, you can lose something essential. Do you know what that is? Creativity. Because if your mindset becomes too rigid, you might build something great. But when things change, you won't be able to adapt. And that's exactly what happened to some of the biggest companies in history. What happens when you don't adapt? Remember Kodak? What about Polaroid or IBM, back when it struggled to keep up with new tech giants? These companies dominated the market for years, but then they vanished. Why? Because the world changed and they didn't. As new technologies and business models emerged, these companies refused to evolve and kept doing things the old way. And this doesn't just happen to companies. It happens to people too. If you cling to a fixed way of thinking, refuse to embrace change, and insist that the world must adjust to your view of it, sooner or later, you will get left behind. Creativity is the key to adaptation. Adapting to change isn't just about technology or the economy. It's also about human behavior, personal growth, and how you see the world. But many people resist change because it's always been this way, because they follow an outdated model without questioning it, because they assume that what worked in the past will always work in the future. And when this rigid way of thinking takes over, conflict begins. People defend old systems as if they were absolute truths. And the worst part? Many of these systems don't even make sense anymore. But because they've spent years training only their focus and ignoring creativity, they can't see an alternative. The world is evolving faster than ever, and if you don't allow yourself to think flexibly, you will get left behind. So in the end, it's not just about focus, and it's not just about creativity. The real secret is knowing when to switch between the two. If there's one thing that separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck, it's not just talent, intelligence, or luck. It's the ability to adapt. Those who understand when to focus and when to let their minds explore new possibilities aren't just keeping up with change, they're leading it. Life doesn't reward just the thinkers. It doesn't reward just the doers. It rewards those who master both. So instead of asking yourself, what do I need to learn? Maybe the real question is, what do I need to unlearn to finally move forward? What got you here won't be enough to take you to the next level. So now the question is, are you ready to change the way you think and act? If this video helped you see things differently, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going. Subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And remember, focus, creativity, adaptation,